On April 3rd, 2026, a 73-year-old retired postal worker named Donald Meacham walked into a Chase branch in suburban Philadelphia, withdrew $47,000 in cash, drove 6 blocks to a cryptocurrency kiosk inside a gas station, and fed every single bill into the machine. By the time his daughter called him that evening, the money had crossed 3 blockchain wallets and landed in an overseas exchange account that no American agency could freeze, reverse, or trace. $47,000. Gone in under 90 minutes. And Donald Meacham is not a careless man. He held a federal security clearance for 22 years. He balanced his checkbook every Sunday morning. He trusted the voice on the phone because that voice knew his social security number, his bank routing number, and the exact balance in his savings account down to the cent. What happened to Donald Meacham is now happening to approximately 14,000 American seniors every single month. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center logged $1.3 billion in cryptocurrency fraud losses targeting adults over 60 in 2025 alone. That number is projected to reach $1.9 billion by December of this year. But here is what most people have not heard. The American Bankers Association, the FDIC, and individual banks across 37 states have now issued formal warnings to customers over 65 about 5 specific behaviors that are getting accounts drained, frozen, or flagged for federal investigation. Not tips, not suggestions. Formal consumer protection warnings backed by documented fraud cases from the first 6 months of 2026. I went through every one of them, and I am going to walk you through all 5 right now because the next Donald Meacham could be someone sitting in your living room tonight. My name is Marcus Whitfield. I spent 20 years as an IRS-enrolled tax specialist. What I track on this channel is exactly this kind of information. New threats, new rules, new protections, before they become a permanent loss for you or someone in your family. Let us start with the warning that is emptying accounts in a matter of hours, and it does not involve your phone, your computer, or the internet at all. The first formal warning involves a physical device that criminals are installing inside ATM cash dispensers in at least 14 documented cities as of May 2026. Philadelphia, Houston, Sacramento, Tampa. The scheme is mechanical, not digital, and that is precisely what makes it so dangerous for seniors who believe their biggest threat comes from the internet. Here is exactly what happens. A small piece of hardware, roughly the size of 2 stacked credit cards, is inserted into the cash dispenser slot. That is the opening where your bills come out after a withdrawal. You insert your card, you enter your PIN, you request $200, the machine processes the transaction, your account is debited $200. The bills are dispensed internally by the machine's mechanism, but the trap device captures those bills in a thin compartment before they reach the opening where your fingers would collect them. Your screen reads transaction complete. No cash appears. You assume the machine malfunctioned. And here is the moment that determines everything. You walk away. Maybe you think you will call the bank later. Maybe you try the transaction again at a different machine. The moment you leave, the criminal who planted the device approaches the ATM, removes the trap along with your cash, and disappears. In documented cases, some of these criminals have returned to the same machine 4 and 5 times in a single afternoon, collecting cash from multiple victims. The United States Secret Service Financial Crimes Division and the ABA both issued alerts about this specific scheme in February 2026. It is not a future risk. It is active right now. A woman named Shirley Okafor in Houston lost $600 across 3 separate transactions at the same compromised ATM before she realized the pattern. She assumed the first failure was a glitch. The second made her nervous. By the third, her account was short $1,800, including overdraft fees. Here is exactly what you do if this happens. If you complete a transaction and cash does not come out, do not walk away from that ATM. Stay at the machine. Pull out your cell phone while standing at that exact location. Call the number on the back of your debit card and tell the representative that your transaction shows as complete, but no cash was dispensed. Ask them to flag the transaction immediately and note the time and location. Your physical presence at the machine, combined with the immediate call, creates a documented record that dramatically improves your ability to reverse the charge. The device only works if you leave. Stay, call, do not move until you have spoken with the bank. I want you to remember Shirley Okafor's name because she comes back later in this video, and what happened next will change how you think about who you trust at a bank branch. The second warning from the ABA's official 2026 consumer guidance uses language that is absolute. Your debit card or credit card never leaves your hands at an ATM. Not to a stranger offering help. Not to someone who says the machine is confusing. Not to anyone standing near you regardless of how friendly, professional, or elderly they themselves appear. The reason this rule exists in such uncompromising terms involves two devices. The first is called a skimmer. It reads the magnetic stripe on the back of your card. The second is its 2026 evolution, called a shimmer. It is small enough to fit inside the card slot itself, and it reads your EMV chip. The chip that was supposed to make fraud harder. Either device captures every piece of information stored on your card in under 3 seconds of physical contact. 3 seconds. Someone holds your card, hands it back, smiles, walks away. You feel nothing. You see nothing. Your card looks identical, but within 48 hours, a cloned version of that card is making purchases in a different state. A retired electrician named George Hadley in Sacramento handed his card to a man who offered to help him navigate a new ATM interface at his credit union. The man held the card for approximately 4 seconds, appeared to examine the slot, handed it back, and left. George made his withdrawal successfully. 11 days later, $3,200 in charges appeared on his statement from a Target in Reno, Nevada. George has never been to Reno. If you have difficulty using an ATM, if the buttons are small, the screen is hard to read, the interface has changed, the correct action is to go inside the branch and ask a uniformed bank employee at a secured teller window, not a stranger in the parking lot, not someone in line behind you, a uniformed employee behind the counter, inside the building, at their station. If anyone near an ATM reaches toward your card, pick it up and walk inside. Do not explain. Do not apologize. Just walk away. Now, if this information is making you think differently about your last few ATM visits, I need you to hit the like button right now. Not for me. Because the algorithm uses that signal to push this video to other seniors who are standing at those same machines this week without knowing any of this. One tap from you might be the reason someone else does not become the next George Hadley. The third warning addresses something that feels unnecessary until you understand the technology that makes it critical. The ABA states it without qualification. Cover the keypad with your other hand every single time you enter your PIN, even if no one appears to be nearby, even if you are alone at the machine, even if it feels paranoid. Here is why the alone qualifier matters. Documented fraud cases from the first quarter of 2026 involved pinhole cameras disguised as part of the ATM housing, small mirrors positioned at angles above the keypad, and recording devices attached to structures near the machine that captured PINs from customers who believed they were completely unobserved. A woman named Patricia Langford in Tampa entered her PIN at an ATM she had used weekly for 9 years. Nobody was within 50 feet of her. A camera the size of a pencil eraser mounted inside what appeared to be a brochure holder attached to the wall beside the ATM recorded her keystrokes. Combined with a shimmer already inside the card slot, that recording gave criminals complete access to her account. She lost $4,800 before the bank's fraud system flagged the activity. The same rule applies inside the branch. When a bank employee helps you with a transaction requiring your PIN, that employee is required by bank policy to look away when you enter the number. That is not courtesy, it is policy. In most states, it is a consumer protection requirement under Regulation E of the Electronic Fund Transfer Act. If you are entering your PIN and the employee does not look away, you can say directly and politely, "Please turn away while I enter my PIN." That is your right. Any legitimate bank will honor it without hesitation. If they do not, ask for the branch manager. That request alone will resolve it immediately. Now, I need to tell you about the scheme that cost American seniors $1.3 billion last year alone, and I need you to understand something uncomfortable about it first. The people who fall for this are not gullible. They are not confused. They are often the sharpest, most careful, most financially disciplined people in their families. And they still lose everything. That fact should frighten you because it means the scheme works on exactly the kind of person who believes they would never fall for it. Here is the pattern. You receive a phone call. The caller identifies themselves as the IRS, the Social Security Administration, Medicare, or federal law enforcement. They tell you your account has been compromised, that you owe back taxes under immediate collection, or that someone has stolen your identity and your funds must be moved to a secure location immediately. They sound professional. They know your name, your address, sometimes the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. They are calm, authoritative, and persistent. They create urgency without shouting. They create fear without threats. Then they give you an instruction. Go to your bank, withdraw cash, drive to a Bitcoin ATM or cryptocurrency kiosk. Deposit the cash into the machine using a QR code they provide. They tell you this is the only way to protect your funds. The moment you feed that cash into the machine, it is gone permanently. Cryptocurrency transactions are irreversible. The money cannot be tracked by your bank. It cannot be frozen by law enforcement. It cannot be recovered through any dispute process. There is no fraud protection. There is no insurance. The cash is gone as completely as if you burned it. Remember Donald Meacham from the beginning of this video, $47,000. He held a federal security clearance for 22 years. He was on the phone with the scammer while standing at the cryptocurrency kiosk. The caller stayed on the line the entire time, walking him through each step, reassuring him, thanking him for protecting his assets. Donald's daughter told a reporter from the Associated Press that her father cried for 3 days after he realized what had happened. He kept saying, "I knew better, I knew better." But in that moment, he did not. Indiana became the first state to ban cryptocurrency, ATMs, entirely in March 2026. Tennessee and Minnesota followed within weeks. As of May 2026, 30 states have passed laws restricting crypto kiosk operations with specific provisions targeting this fraud pattern. But those kiosks still operate in 20 states with minimal regulation. Here is the absolute rule. No government agency will ever instruct you to withdraw cash and deposit it into a cryptocurrency machine. Not the IRS, not the Social Security Administration, not Medicare, not the FBI, not local police, not under any circumstances, not even in a genuine emergency. That instruction in any form from any caller is always a scam. Always. There is no exception. If you are watching this and you have an elderly parent, a neighbor, a friend who lives alone, this is the warning you share with them today, not next week, today. Because the people who execute this scheme call seniors every single morning between 9 and 11 a.m. when they know spouses are out and adult children are at work. Banks across the country are now training tellers to intervene when a senior customer makes an unusual large cash withdrawal. If a bank employee asks you why you are withdrawing a large amount of cash, especially if you have a phone in your hand or appear to be following someone's instructions, answer honestly. They are not being intrusive. They are not violating your privacy. They may be the last human being standing between you and a permanent, total, irreversible loss. The fifth warning brings us back to Shirley Okafor. Remember her from the Houston ATM incident earlier. After losing $1,800 to the cash trap device, Shirley went into her bank branch the following Monday to dispute the charges. While waiting in the lobby, a woman wearing what appeared to be a bank polo shirt approached her, said she could help resolve the issue faster by updating Shirley's mobile banking app, and asked to see Shirley's phone. Shirley handed it over. The woman held the phone for approximately 45 seconds. She appeared to tap through several screens, handed it back, smiled, and said everything was updated. The woman was not a bank employee. She had walked in from the parking lot wearing a blue polo shirt that vaguely resembled the bank's uniform. Within 3 hours, $6,200 had been transferred from Shirley's savings account to an external Zelle recipient. The woman had added a new, trusted device to Shirley's banking credentials and installed a remote access application that gave her ongoing control of Shirley's phone even after she left the building. Your phone with an open banking app is direct and complete access to every account linked to that app. Banks are now formally warning customers your phone stays in your hands inside the bank, always, without exception. Bank employees help customers by explaining what steps to take and what buttons to press. You enter the information yourself. The employee guides you verbally. They do not handle your device. If anyone inside a bank insists they need to physically hold your phone to help you, ask for the branch manager immediately. Any legitimate bank employee will understand that request. If the person pushing to hold your phone hesitates to involve a manager, that hesitation is the clearest possible signal that something is wrong. Now, here is something you can do this week that costs nothing, takes 10 minutes, and could be the phone call that saves everything. Banks are now offering, and in some states are required to offer, what is called a trusted contact designation. This is different from power of attorney, different from a beneficiary. A trusted contact is simply a person, a family member, a close friend, an adult child, whose name and phone number sit on file at your bank. The trusted contact has zero access to your money. They cannot make transactions. They cannot view your balance. They cannot authorize withdrawals. They are simply someone the bank can call if its fraud monitoring system detects unusual activity on your account. A retired teacher named Vivian Caldwell in Orlando set up her daughter as a trusted contact in January. In April, her account showed a $9,000 wire transfer she had never initiated. The bank called her daughter within 40 minutes. Her daughter reached Vivian, confirmed it was unauthorized, and the bank reversed the transfer before it cleared. $9,000 saved by a 10-minute form filed 3 months earlier. Call your bank on Monday. Ask whether they offer a trusted contact designation. If they do, set it up before the weekends. You need only a name and phone number. Here is your checklist for the next 5 days. Monday, call your bank and set up a trusted contact designation. Tuesday, check your ATM for any unusual attachments around the card slot or cash dispenser before your next transaction. Wednesday, practice covering the keypad with your free hand during every PIN entry, even at the grocery store. Thursday, delete any voicemail from anyone claiming to be the IRS or Social Security that asks you to call back at a number you did not find on the official agency website yourself. Friday, tell one person you care about what happened to Donald Meacham. Tell them the number, $47,000. Tell them the rule. No government agency will ever ask you to deposit cash into a cryptocurrency machine. If you made it this far into this video, you already know more than 90% of seniors walking into a bank branch tomorrow morning. But knowing is not protection. Action is protection. The 10-minute phone call is protection. The hand over the keypad is protection. The refusal to hand over your card, your phone, or your cash to anyone outside a secured teller window, that is protection. Donald Meacham's daughter told the Associated Press one more thing. She said, if someone had shown him a video like this the week before, he would have recognized the call for what it was. He would have hung up. Be the person who shows someone this video. Subscribe so the next warning reaches you before it reaches the criminals. I will see you in the next one.